The Dardanelles Campaign, also known as the Gallipoli Campaign, stands as one of the most ambitious and tragic operations of the First World War. It was an attempt by the Allies to break the stalemate on the Western Front and to open a new front that would knock the Ottoman Empire out of the war. This campaign was championed by Winston Churchill, the British First Lord of the Admiralty, who saw it as a way to restore momentum to the Allied cause and re-establish a crucial supply route to Russia. But before we go more in depth into the details of this fateful campaign, let's give a bit more background and strategic context of the importance of this battle. The Ottoman Empire, once a powerful entity, was in decline by the late 19th and early 20th centuries, earning the moniker the Sick Man of Europe. Despite its weakening state, the Ottomans controlled strategically vital territories, including the Dardanelles and the Bosporus Straits, which were crucial for controlling access between the Mediterranean and the Black Sea. As the First World War erupted in 1914, both the Entente powers, comprising Britain, France, and Russia, and the Central Powers, comprising Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire, sought to leverage the Ottoman Empire's strategic position. Germany had been investing heavily in the Ottoman military and infrastructure, gaining influence. Historical animosities, particularly with Russia, and geopolitical considerations, including the British seizure of 2 Ottoman battleships, prompted the Ottomans to join the Central Powers. The Ottoman Empire's entry into the war in October 1914 had significant ramifications. Ottoman forces attacked Russian ports in the Black Sea, compelling Russia to divert troops to the Caucasus. Britain and France also had to allocate resources to counter Ottoman advances in the Middle East. Additionally, Ottoman control of the Dardanelles and the Bosporus blocked supply routes from the Allies to Russia, exacerbating the difficulties faced by the Russian military. From the moment the Ottoman Empire joined the Central Powers in late 1914, the Allies faced significant challenges. The Ottomans controlled the Dardanelles, a narrow strait connecting the Aegean Sea to the Sea of Marmara, and by extension, the Black Sea. This geographical choke point was crucial for the Allies because it was the primary sea route to Russia. The Russian Empire, fighting on the Eastern Front, was in desperate need of supplies, and the Dardanelles provided a potential lifeline. Churchill argued that a successful assault on the Dardanelles could achieve several strategic objectives. It would force the Ottomans out of the war, open a direct supply route to Russia, and potentially encourage neutral Balkan states to join the Allies. Despite considerable opposition from several French and British military leaders, who were skeptical of the feasibility and strategic value of the operation, the decision was made to proceed. The campaign began with a naval operation on March 18, 1915. The plan was to force a passage through the Dardanelles by neutralizing the Ottoman defenses, including shore batteries and extensive minefields. The Allied fleet, composed of British and French battleships, began its assault on the straits. However, the operation quickly encountered severe difficulties. Ottoman artillery, expertly positioned and commanded by German advisors, inflicted heavy damage on the Allied ships. Mines, which had been laid across the strait, proved particularly devastating, sinking several vessels and forcing the fleet to withdraw. Following the failure of the naval assault, the Allies decided to launch a land invasion of the Gallipoli Peninsula to secure the straits. On April 25, 1915, British, Australian, New Zealand, and French troops landed at multiple beaches along the southern tip of the peninsula. This amphibious landing marked the beginning of a protracted and bloody campaign. The landings met fierce resistance from the Ottoman defenders, who were well prepared and heavily entrenched, under the command of Mustafa Kemal, later known as Ataturk. The Turkish forces mounted a tenacious defense. The Anzac, or Australian and New Zealand Army Corps troops, landing at what would become known as Anzac Cove, faced immediate and intense opposition. Despite suffering heavy casualties, they managed to establish a precarious foothold. Throughout the summer of 1915, the Allies attempted to break through the Ottoman defenses. However, the rugged terrain, coupled with the well-fortified Turkish positions, resulted in limited progress and high casualties. In an effort to outflank the Turkish forces, a second landing was carried out in early August at Suvla Bay, north of the original landing sites. This operation aimed to cut off the Ottoman troops and achieve a decisive breakthrough. The Suvla landing, however, was poorly executed and failed to achieve its objectives. The lack of coordination, logistical difficulties, and stiff Turkish resistance led to another stalemate. The troops at Suvla Bay and Anzac Cove found themselves entrenched in a grim and protracted struggle. The conditions for the Allied soldiers on the Gallipoli Peninsula were abysmal. The summer heat, combined with the scarcity of clean water and inadequate sanitation, led to widespread disease, Malaria, dysentery, and other illnesses took a heavy toll on the troops, exacerbating the already high casualties from combat. By the end of 1915, it became clear that the Gallipoli campaign was a failure, and it became evident that the Gallipoli campaign was unsustainable. The High Command, recognizing the futility of further assaults and the immense human cost, decided to evacuate the Allied forces. The evacuation, conducted in December 1915 and January 1916, was remarkably well executed, with minimal casualties. The meticulous planning and execution of the withdrawal contrasted sharply with the earlier phases of the campaign. However, the aftermath of the Gallipoli campaign was disastrous for the Allied forces. The campaign resulted in approximately 250,000 Allied casualties, with around 58,000 soldiers killed and 192,000 wounded or missing. The majority of these casualties were from the British, Australian, and New Zealand forces. The Anzac alone suffered around 28,000 casualties, with 8,700 Australians and 2,700 New Zealanders killed. These losses represented a significant portion of the military personnel from these relatively small nations and had a profound impact on their societies. The campaign was a significant blow to Allied morale, highlighting severe deficiencies in planning and execution. The initial naval assault had been overly optimistic, underestimating the strength of the Ottoman defenses and the challenges posed by the heavily mined waters. The subsequent land campaign suffered from poor intelligence, inadequate coordination between naval and ground forces, and logistical failures. The harsh terrain and strong Ottoman resistance turned what was envisioned as a swift victory into a protracted and bloody stalemate. For the Ottoman Empire, the successful defense of Gallipoli was a major victory that boosted national pride and morale. The campaign's success was largely attributed to the strategic acumen and leadership of Mustafa Kemal, a commander of the Ottoman 19th Division. Kemal's decisive actions, such as his famous order to his troops at Anzac Cove, "I am not ordering you to attack, I am ordering you to die," exemplified his commitment and tactical brilliance. His leadership during the campaign cemented his reputation as a national hero, and he would later leverage this prestige to lead Turkey in the War of Independence. Mustafa Kemal, who took the surname Ataturk, or Father of the Turks, became the founding father of modern Turkey, implementing sweeping reforms that secularized and modernized the nation. The Gallipoli campaign also had significant political ramifications within the Allied countries. In Britain, the failure led to intense scrutiny and criticism of the government and military leadership. Winston Churchill, who had been a key advocate for the campaign, was demoted and resigned from the government, temporarily ending his political career. The debacle contributed to the fall of the Asquith government and the formation of a coalition government under David Lloyd George. In Australia and New Zealand, the Gallipoli campaign became a defining moment of national identity. The Anzac soldiers' bravery and sacrifices are commemorated annually on Anzac Day, April 25th, which has become a day of national remembrance. The campaign fostered a sense of unity and pride, playing a crucial role in the development of national consciousness in both countries. For the Ottoman Empire, the victory at Gallipoli provided a much-needed morale boost and delayed Allied efforts to open a new front in the Middle East. However, the war continued to take a heavy toll on the empire, which faced multiple fronts and internal strife. The end of World War I saw the dissolution of the Ottoman Empire, but the successful defense of Gallipoli remained a symbol of resistance and resilience. In the broader context of World War I, the Gallipoli campaign had several strategic implications. The failure to secure the Dardanelles prolonged the war by preventing the Allies from establishing a direct supply route to Russia, which could have alleviated some of the pressures on the Eastern Front. The campaign's resources and manpower, diverted from the Western Front, contributed to the prolonged stalemate and immense human cost of the war. The Gallipoli campaign's legacy continues to be studied and debated by historians and military strategists. Its ambitious goals, flawed execution, and tragic outcomes offer enduring lessons in military strategy and the complexities of wartime decision-making. The campaign's legacy serves as a reminder of the profound costs of war and the enduring human spirit in the face of adversity.